that's kind of what's been going on with me in the dark side of financial independence. So again, I'm not asking you to play the world's smallest violin for me or to weep uncontrollably because of how hard my life situation is. That is not the point of this video. The point of this video is simply for me to try and explore who I am, what I want to be, and where I'm going, and do that honestly and openly with you guys. And I mean, you know, from your perspective, I figured you guys were thinking, man, it's been so long since we heard about all Matt's struggles and troubles with his first world problems and his self-indulgent over-analysis of ennui and what the human condition is. And hey guys, Matt McKeever here, and so 2018 has just kind of started up, and I figured, you know what, it's been a while since we kind of had one of those one-on-one conversations. We used to do this all the time. I mean, like, what happened to us, guys? Well, that's mainly my fault that we don't have these one-on-one personal conversations anymore, and the reason for that is mainly I've been trying to grow my YouTube channel, and it seems do the whole presenting thing and content creation, and less personal, less Matt, more about the content. But if I'm being honest, I miss this. This is really important to me. I really enjoy this. Almost a year ago now, at least like 8 months ago, I did the one video that actually was one of my first videos to really get traction, the dark side of financial independence. And so in that video, I essentially just discussed some of the downsides that a lot of us don't consider when you reach financial independence. You know, we get so focused, so narrow focused on this goal of reaching financial independence, of getting control, of finding our freedom. And then once we get there, often we haven't actually spent the time to really build a plan around it or figure out exactly how we're going to find our bliss or find our happiness, because we were too focused on the goal and we were forgetting about what came after that goal. Yeah, I think the biggest downside towards financial independence, to quitting your job and just embracing being an early retiree, is the big downside is that a lot of us get our ego tied up in who we are, and often who we are is simply a distillation of our job. So, you know, for myself, it was, I'm an accountant, I'm a CPA, I spent years and years and years going to university, then getting the practical experience, then becoming a CA, then being a CA. And to leave that all behind is actually really tough. It's really scary. It seems silly. I mean, you know, since the age of 25, I'd had this goal of reaching financial independence and working towards it and hitting those milestones, hitting those metrics, and yet even once you get there, even once you have it, there's still an uncertainty around it. There's still a fear towards actually fully embracing it. And so, quick caveat before we get into it, obviously, you know, every single one of my problems is a first world problem. I'm insanely lucky, insanely grateful to be in the position I am. And, you know, had the genetic dice rolled differently, I may not be here. So I definitely want to recognize that, but at the same time, please understand that we all live within the constraints that we have. So if all you know is first world problems, they're going to seem like big deals to you. And if you know a lot of problems that aren't first world problems, these first world problems are going to seem like such minutia, such self-indulgent reflection that I understand you not liking it. But if you do enjoy these type of videos, please do smash the like button, because it's kind of scary putting myself out here like this. So far, everyone's been amazing and very supportive and respectful, and I really do appreciate that. I think it's an amazing community I have here on YouTube. I guess what I wanted to say was thank you so much for being so supportive, and thank you for indulging me in these type of videos. The last video I did, I kind of updated you guys telling you, you know, financial independence wasn't as awesome as I thought it should have been. And part of that comes down to a lack of like social engagement, a lack of a working framework, a lack of a schedule, lack of structure in my life. And that lack of structure actually really is strange, because you go from a highly structured life, and particularly if you're focused on financial independence, retiring early, you're going from a highly structured life and a highly structured like goal plan or system that's going to get you to that financial independence, to being completely master of your own domain. And that's really new for a lot of us, or at least it was really new for me, and it takes a lot of adjusting to do it. And honestly, I think I'm still adjusting to it. So don't expect a silver bullet in this video. I'm not going to be able to solve all your first world problems. You know, if you think you can solve mine, jump in the comment section and share with me below. But in the last video, I really focused on some of the areas where I was dissatisfied in my life, and those were primarily like social engagement. So once you leave the workforce, even if you don't really like your coworkers, they still are a huge part of your social network, a huge part of your social interaction with your fellow human beings. And so the moment you cut that out of your life because you reach financial independence and you leave your day job, all of a sudden a lot of the social interaction you get on a day-to-day is significantly reduced. In addition, it's not like I have my own family, so it's a lot of early retirees that do have a family, they immediately throw themselves into their family, and so that's kind of an outlet or a way to get that social interaction they're craving. In the last video, I discussed at a high level how I was going to focus more on trying to create more social interaction, more rewarding social interaction for myself too. It's not enough just for me to go out to a coffee shop and chat to a random stranger. I want to have actually deep, meaningful conversations. Hopefully you guys get that impression from me because, I do this and I do the YouTube videos. I'm not interested in small talk. I love big talk. And so I want to try and create ways to make big talk easier for me to experience, because you can't just go up to a stranger and ask, well, you can, but it's pretty rare for anyone to go up to a stranger and ask, what are your life goals, man? Like, what's the whole point of this human condition? I mean, yeah, just tell me your perspective on life. It's really weird to say that to a stranger, and so I realized that I need to create better structures in my life so that I could constantly be exposed to this, because that's an area of life I find extremely rewarding, learning about other people's goals, learning about their story, and learning about what they're up to, what they're passionate about. I love hearing other people's passions. So on that metric, I've started really trying to structure my life and my activities around it. So this is really abstract. Let me give you some examples. So the idea here is, I started the Cash Flow to Go show with Jeff Weibel. So it's an excuse for myself and Jeff Weibel to hang out every week for at least a couple hours and chat about subject matters we're interested in, personal finances, real estate investing, all that. In addition, those of you that watch the Cash Flow to Go show, Adam Steeper, my best friend, he's the guy behind the scenes. He's the one doing the moderator on the comment section. He's kind of our technical assistant, or the producer of the show, you will. He's the reason that the trains run on time for the Cash Flow Go show. And so that to me was a great way to kind of ensure a weekly meetup between these two guys that I love spending a lot of time with. So, once you're financially independent, your time becomes a lot more flexible, a lot more malleable. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's the case for your friends. So even though you now have maybe twice as much or even more free time than you've ever had before in your life, a lot of the people that matter to you, they don't have more free time. So it's actually still, even though you have, let's say, an unlimited supply of free time, your friends and family don't necessarily. So if you don't create structures or systems in place to make sure that you're able to increase your exposure to them, you're either going to need to broaden the number of people you spend time with or build systems that make that accomplishable. So that's essentially what I did with the Cash Flow Go show. It was one of those things that met a bunch of different goals of myself. I want to create more YouTube content for you guys, so it scratched that itch. But in addition, it allowed me to hang out with two of the guys I enjoy spending the most time with on this earth. So that's one example. In addition, maybe 3 months ago now almost, myself and Kellen started the On Fire podcast. And again, that was a way to kind of ensure that me and Kellen had an excuse to hang out once a week and talk about stuff I find interesting, such as personal finances, life hacking, and just kind of life goals, and how to embrace financial independence and how to achieve it and how to help others achieve it and learn other stories. The podcast was just another way to kind of structure social interaction and build it into kind of a weekly habit for myself. Because otherwise, if I just kind of tried to make a habit of hanging out with Kellen once a week, life gets in the way. My life gets in the way, his life gets in the way, others' lives get in the way. But if I build the social interaction on this foundation of we're creating content and it's something we're both committed to and we bought into the vision, it becomes a lot easier for me to then scratch that itch of socially interacting with Kellen. And in addition to that, myself and Michael Rosehart started the Mike and Matt on Fire. And that was another way for me to kind of force myself or create a system in place where I'd frequently get to hang out with Michael. And so we've dropped the ball so far this year on doing it, but later this week I'm hoping to start recording those videos, and we'll start having one of those videos come out a week. And again, that's just another way where I'm trying to combine a bunch of the different goals and try and find the areas where I'm currently not satisfied and increase the satisfaction. So again, the whole point of me creating these specific projects, even though these projects actually create work for me, it actually creates kind of a sense of purpose as well. It creates a forced reason or a habit to hang out with these guys or to socially interact with them on a reoccurring basis. And so that to me was really important. And additionally, I have another piece of weekly content I'm hoping to come out with in the near future with Adam Steeper. And it's going to be a weekly pop culture talk show thing. It'll probably be centered around cannabis or marijuana, or at least that'll be a theme in it. For those of you that don't know, marijuana is going to become legal July 1st in Canada. And so I want to start maybe creating some content around that, but in addition, also a reason to just kind of talk about like world events and talk about what's kind of going on and my perspective on them and share my opinions. And again, I love hanging out with Adam Steeper, but it's really difficult for us to always find the time on a weekly basis to hang out. He's got a busy life. I got my shit on the go. But if I create this specific goal for us to achieve, it's going to force us to get into the habit of doing it. And for me, it's going to scratch a lot of itches. It's going to create more content and more social interaction with my audience, but it's also going to create an opportunity for me to hang out with Adam on a weekly basis. And so even taking that theme a little bit further, another thing I've been doing is the London on Fire group. So in London, Ontario, we've created this amazing group of people called London on Fire. It stands for Financial Independence, Retire Early. And it's a group of us that are all just focused on personal finances, getting control of our lives, life hacking, and embracing financial freedom. And it's been amazing so far, and it's really increased my peer group. It's increased my social circle exponentially almost. And I want to continue doing that. So we're actually going to start doing some satellite meetups. So we're going to open up different locations throughout Southwestern Ontario and hopefully eventually later this year across North America, so that we can kind of help spread the gospel, spread the message. But again, to me, a big part of that was it creates a monthly obligation to go out and be social and interact with other people. And I guess as a natural introvert, even though I may not constantly want to be extrovert and be out there and hanging out with people, I do get real value from it. And being financially independent, it's really easy, particularly for myself and just kind of my personality, to get caught up in my own headspace and kind of like drop out of society for days or weeks on end. And if I do that, it doesn't take long before I kind of regret doing that, because it doesn't create a lot of personal satisfaction completely shutting yourself off from the world, or at least for me. Again, every single person is going to have a different experience with financial independence, and they're going to have different struggles with it. But I guess the overall goal of this video was just to document for you, financial independence is a great goal, but it's not a life in and of itself. Financial independence won't solve all your problems. It's not going to make you a perfect person, and it's not even going to guarantee make you a better person. And so actually, I think that that's a really important thing too that I want to talk about here, was the idea of habits and financial independence. So, when you first reach financial independence, it's really easy to become kind of untethered from society or social norms. And while that's very freeing in a certain way, it also can be detrimental to you, or at least it can be detrimental to myself. So it's really easy to pick up bad habits, because in financial independence, suddenly there's a lot less consequences to your life. So for example, if you decide to stay out late and drink or smoke too much the night before, there's really no consequences, because it's not like you're going to miss work tomorrow. You can just rearrange your schedule and cancel whatever you're going to do the next day, or just not plan anything the next day and embrace those vices to their fullest. And while embracing your vices to the fullest can be fun on occasion, I think for the most of us, it's not something that we want. It's not something that we want to be a part of our lives constantly. There's a reason that it's a vice and not a daily habit for a lot of us. And yet with financial independence, it can be really easy to pick up a lot of these bad habits simply because we don't have the same feedback loop that we used to have in our old lives when we were still an employee or still self-employed or whatever the case was. Man, these videos are so weird. You guys have no idea how much I worry that I'm just being insanely self-indulgent in these videos. So whenever you do comment on them or hit the like button, especially for these like one-on-one personal chats, it really does mean a lot to me, because I guess I care what you think, to be honest. And so let me know what you think in the comment section down below. And another update that I wanted to kind of cover with you guys was about my real estate portfolio and kind of what's going on in that sphere. So in the last video on the dark side of financial independence, I talked about how like I started hating my real estate properties. I started really seeing them as a hassle, as an inconvenience, as something that was just getting in the way of my life or in the way of my happiness. Whereas when I was working and I had to go answer that phone call or that text or unclog that toilet, it was no big deal when I was doing my 9-to-5 grind and then working nights and weekends on real estate. Where the moment I hit financial independence, the moment I all of a sudden had tons of free time, that moment is the moment I decided that I was sick of real estate. And that's such a weird thing. And I got to the point where I hated my cell phone. The idea of it buzzing or getting a text, I would just cringe because, oh my God, what if it's a tenant and they're complaining about something? That's not who I used to be. It's not who I want to be. It's not that I have terrible tenants. But it was a perspective issue. I framed things in such a way that once I reached financial independence, everything was going to be perfect for Matt. And the moment everything wasn't perfect for Matt and financial independence, it felt like a failure of my financial independence. And so I talked about this in the last video. So a big part of last year was me trying to learn to outsource and let go of the small details and let someone else step in and do that. I've had my ups and downs with that. I've had some great experiences trying to outsource things, and I've had some terrible experiences trying to outsource stuff. It's still a learning process for myself. Recently, I contracted some new people to outsource a lot of my day-to-day management of my real estate. I'm really hoping that lets me focus on what's truly important to me, to the really high-level stuff. I love acquiring properties. I love finding inefficient assets and putting them to their best, most efficient use. And I'm hoping that by outsourcing the aspects of the day-to-day management that I don't enjoy, that I'll find a more rewarding life or balance to life by being able to chase more deals and do more interesting opportunities. Again, who knows? I still may sell all my real estate this year. I may double my real estate holdings. Time will tell, I guess. And so another thing is travel. So a lot of people, when they reach financial independence, they want to go and travel a lot, but a lot of us aren't overly comfortable being solo travelers necessarily. I know myself, I've never really done a lot of solo traveling. Actually, that being said, if you guys have done solo traveling, I'd love you to share your experiences in the comment section. How do you get more comfortable with that? How do you make friends over a short period of time? I'm not really good at making friends because I love big talk, and small talk to me is tedious, so I often avoid the initial social interactions with people that are just going to be like the people that I feel like I'm only going to have a superficial relationship with. I almost prefer just not to have that relationship. So I guess I naturally kind of shut myself off a bit from some of those opportunities to make friends when you're solo, because I just assume that I'm not going to have the deep conversations I want. But I guess if I'm never having a conversation, then I'm almost guaranteeing myself failure there. But anyways, tell me in the comment section down below, have you done solo travel and do you enjoy it? And how do you go about making it funner for yourself? Or how do you go about ensuring that it's an enjoyable experience? Or how did you get over the fear of being alone when you're traveling, or being alone at a restaurant and eating by yourself? I probably just spend way too much time up here personally, but yeah, I would love you guys to share your experience. But so that's the thing, I technically have a bunch more time these days, and yet I haven't really made a lot of time to travel. And now travel is I've never been a huge traveler, but I do like the idea of slow travel where you can slowly experience a city or a culture or even a state or country over an extended period of time. So the idea of simply going to an all-inclusive resort and cranking out a week of binge drinking no longer is enticing to me. It totally was at age 25, and I don't judge those of you that want that experience. But it no longer, to me, scratches that itch. So one of the things I've been trying to think about is, how can I align a lot more of my interests to allow me to travel more? So the thing is, right now, at least personally, the idea of solo travel isn't that enticing. So how can I create a situation where friends or family are going to feel enticed to travel with me or to experience the same things as I'm experiencing? And one of the things myself and Jeff Weibel have been discussing recently is the idea of, buying or renting a compound somewhere in a compound or villa or whatever you want to call it somewhere in South America, and spending a month or 2 or more months down there and maybe allowing people to come and go as they please. And the idea there is it's a way for me to have an extended vacation, an extended exposure to a certain culture, city, climate, whatever, and yet I can still get the satisfaction of getting to hang out or have that social interaction with the people that mean the most to me in my life. Because for everyone that's still working in my life, it's relatively unrealistic to expect them to come and hang out with me in South America for 2 months. But if I already have a place for them to stay and all they have to do is pay for their flights down, and they can hang out with me for a week, and then they go back to their regular lives and someone else comes down and hangs out with me, that becomes something that's interesting. In addition, the idea of getting to know some of you better and maybe even helping you guys along your financial journey, the idea of doing like a week-long seminar in El Salvador is something that's really interesting, or doing a couple different courses in El Salvador, helping people learn how to house hack or how to BRRRR or how to take their real estate investing to the next level. That's something that I find really interesting. And again, I think it aligns with a lot of my different interests. And so I think that's something that I'm going to be playing around with more as well. Again, I'd love your feedback in the comment section on any of the weird stuff that I've been rambling about. And if you think this has been a completely self-indulgent bullshit video, tell me in the comment section as well, because I really do appreciate your feedback. Yeah, I'm open to feedback, I guess is what I'm saying. Yeah, so anyways, that's kind of what's been going on with me in the dark side of financial independence. So again, I'm not asking you to play the world's smallest violin for me or to weep uncontrollably because of how hard my life situation is. That is not the point of this video. The point of this video is simply for me to try and explore who I am, what I want to be, and where I'm going, and do that honestly and openly with you guys. So like another aspect is the idea of like coaching or selling my time to help people. It's something I constantly struggle with. On the one hand, I like the idea of helping people, but the idea of like charging or getting monetarily compensated for it feels a little bit odd. But I've done it for free and seen the lack of results people produce because they don't value your time. Then when people aren't valuing your time, you start to almost not value it because they're not valuing it. I'm sorry, I'm not even sure where I'm going with that part. But yeah, anyway, so this has all just been kind of an interesting exploration of Matt's version of the human condition, I guess. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you'd like to see more videos like this, you have to tell me in the comment section down below, because it is scary just talking to you guys openly like this. Because, you know, I create a little bit of an itinerary of what I'm going to talk about, but this is honestly a lot of it off the top of my head. I'll probably edit this down into a 10, 20, 30 minute video, but I've actually been chatting here with you guys for like over an hour, and I'll cut it down and get rid of a lot of the awkward pauses. And yeah, I think that's probably as good a place as any to shut down this video. So I'd love to hear your perspective if you are financially independent, if you're on the cusp of it, or if it's just a far off dream. What does financial independence actually look like on a day-to-day for you once you get there? Have you spent a lot of time thinking about it? It's an area I did not dedicate nearly enough time on, and now I found myself far more adrift than I would have expected, simply because I didn't spend the time and reflect enough on the subject matter. So again, obviously this is all first world problems, guys. Don't cry too hard for me, but I do appreciate you taking the time to listen to me, to share with me, and yeah, otherwise, you know, classic YouTube stuff. Smash that like button, leave me comments, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, watch the videos YouTube wants you to watch, and share on social media as always. But I'd rather you share in the comment section what's going on with you. So anyways, thanks guys, really appreciate it. Bye! Anyways, really appreciate it guys, thanks. Bye!